Hey everybody, happy Sunday. Hope you're having a good morning so far, or good afternoon, probably for the rest of the world. I'm in San Diego and everything just goes slower. So I've been pretty much sleeping all morning and yesterday. I didn't really do much yesterday. I went and went and got a smoothie. I think that's all I did yesterday, which was phenomenal. I like to work a lot. I like to be busy and just constantly doing things, but it's nice when you have a day that is like successfully lazy, because it doesn't always happen. You get preempted by things. Well, actually, you know what? I lie. I had to do a little bit of manual labor yesterday. One of our friends showed up at our house with like a truck full of mulch, and I'm like, why? Apparently that was a conversation my wife and her had. My wife and her family are very, they're very self-sustaining. They take care of the house. They do a lot of manual labor stuff. I'm very much not that type of person. I will pay everybody to do all the manual labors. But in that case, she asked me to do it, and I kind of told her that sucks, but but I reluctantly did it and took care of it. Anyway. After that, I went to go get the smoothie, so I felt a little bit better after that. Just, it's all about balance, right? And just kind of hung out and read more of that Stoicism book, which is fascinating. It's fascinating because it's like, you could almost make a Netflix series out of it, because it's kind of talking about the story and history of Stoicism, not necessarily just like what it is. Sort of talking about like Marcus Aurelius and Zeno and like previous philosophers and certain ways that they discussed these things. Some of the philosophers leaned into religion quite a bit. Religion being at the time like Zeus and the gods. While I take a drink. And others were a little bit more practical. So it's kind of interesting to see how the philosophies sort of coalesce as a result of people taking it and sort of transforming it. And even at some point it transferred into like more of the Roman aspects, which were a little bit more focused on tranquility and not disturbing your peace throughout the day, and sort of focusing on like pillars of what you can control in life, and getting a lot of ideas of what to talk about in the future. I've sort of talked about focusing on what you can control, which I think is a useful tool to have. Putting things into a couple of different pillars of like things you absolutely can't control, things you can't control, and things that you have some control in. Like, for instance, the some control thing might be a little bit more shaky. So like an example of that would be playing poker, where you have control over your decisions, but you don't necessarily have control over the cards that come out. Or playing tennis or playing a sport where you have a lot of control over what your actions are, but not necessarily where the ball goes or what the actions of your opponent are. You can only control how you react and how you adjust to those situations. So that to me is pretty interesting. And I'll probably touch on those things on the podcast this week, which I think will be a lot of fun to talk about. Anyway, another update I wanted to give was I'm going to include my theme song on here. I had a theme song for my vlog, and I'm going to put it into audio form and then put it onto here and sort of just try to reshare it every day. I think that's how people are getting around to having a theme song, so I'll give that a shot. I'll shout out to Danger because I saw her doing that, and I thought that was a good idea. So I'm going to give that a shot and see how that goes. And also, I wanted to share the next song on my album, which is what's the third one? False Alarm. It's a little bit. It's the first song that I wrote with lyrics, and it's fast. It's fun. It's very it's kind of an LA punk song. It's very fast. It's sort of it's somewhat personal. It's like a situation where you're kind of not supposed to get involved in, and you want it to be a good thing, but you kind of don't. So you're not really sure if you want it to keep going or not. Something to that effect. So I'm going to play my theme song and then play that. before I get into sharing audio and stuff, I would like to know. I'm curious to hear what you do on Sunday. Is it a lot of people use it as a time to prepare for the week? I do that towards the second half of the day. I like to kind of take stock on what I'm generally going to do. Excuse me. I don't like to set things in stone too much because I know things change, but I like to have a general idea of what I'm going to do, get some thoughts on what I would like to accomplish, and then do some things like, finish laundry and sort of do things around the house that I like to not think about during the week, because I won't have time, and B, I just like to focus on work and the things I need to focus on. So I would like to clear my head of those kinds of distractions, and also think about what I might talk about during the week for the podcast. I kind of end up just doing that in the morning and seeing how I feel and seeing what I feel like ranting about. But so I'm curious to see what it is that you do on Sunday. Do you mostly relax? Do you use it as family time? If you have a family, do you take it to go out? Do you go to a coffee shop and hang out for a while? Which sounds like a good idea. I should probably go do that at some point. Or I don't know, any other multitude of things. I would love to hear what your routine is. Maybe some people do business development on Sundays. Maybe they'll look for leads, which I should also do today. So maybe I'll go to the coffee shop and I'll do that. Lately, I've been kind of looking on Instagram, since they've got such great hashtag searching features and location-based features. I kind of will look around at local businesses and see who has like a crappy website or needs a new logo or something like that, and then just sort of like send them a hey, I like what you're doing, but I think you need a new logo. And then see how that goes. And I want to spend more time doing that because I would still like to get out on my own. I enjoy my job and I do like the steady paycheck aspect, but I don't know, something about getting paid a little bit every day or every few days is so much nicer. And if I can make that work at the same level, that's what I would like to do. So just a matter of hustle and me not being lazy. San Diego's kind of ruined me a little bit. So I got to get over that. So let me know what you do on Sundays, if it's for business development or personal development.
Just like a falling star, tough little pieces, all just stuff for me to play. Is this for me? How well should it be? I play with fire, put a pin on your grenade. This could be dead. This could be dead beside it. I really hope that this is just a false alarm. You've always said, told me I hope I tried it. So here we are, obsessed with matching skies, transcending sounds and going down on everyone. I'm not a star, I'm a broken heart, just moving on, forgetting lines on every song. This could be dead, this could be dead beside it. I'm really hoping this is just a false alarm. You've always said, told me to hope I tried it, and it's not before the moment's too long. Just like a falling star, tough little pieces, all just stuff for me to play. Is this for me? How real should it be? I'll play with fire, pull the pin on your grenade. Tough little pieces, all just stuff for me to play. Okay.
Drums, please.
L-L-Y
north, west, south, west, south side, right, yeah, now here it is.
If you've been dying to start that podcast about doves, or about your favorite jacket, or about a long-lost love, or a murder mystery about a cat who murdered everybody, you can start it now on Spotify for podcasters. I've been on Anchor for a long time, and now it is officially Spotify for podcasters, and it has been a platform that has been growing for forever. And I love it, and I still use it to this day, and it has hosted this podcast for 500 plus episodes now. So I highly recommend it. It is free to use. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. I'm literally on my bed recording on my, the phone is on the bed, and I'm just talking, and it's not that complicated. And then you can distribute your podcast on Spotify and everywhere else that podcasts are heard. So video podcasts are available too if you want to show your pretty face and have people see you. You can do all that too. So just do it. It's totally free, no catch. Give it a try. Spotify for podcasters. Let's go.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. Whatever you're into, with Amazon Prime, you can go deep. So if you're all about pop right now, you could watch pop documentaries on Prime Video, discover pop playlists on Amazon Music Prime. And if you're really serious, order a rhyming dictionary with fast free shipping from Prime. From shopping to streaming to saving, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
All right, so that was my latest track, False Alarm, and the intro to the podcast going forward. Forward. That's my East Coast coming out. It's called Jawn by Get Right 53. The word Jawn, for those who don't know, is a slang term used in Philly, particularly in Philly. I don't really think it's used anywhere else. Maybe parts of Jersey, but for the most part, it's really just Philly. Jawn, as the song implies, is a noun, a person, a place, or a thing. It's sort of like a replacement word for like when you don't know what something means, or you are lazy and don't want to actually say the word, or give props to something like, yo, that girl, she's my Jawn. That's my Jawn. Sometimes it's like a positive thing. I don't ever really hear it as a negative. It's always a positive reference to something. Like that song you hear, like, oh man, that's my Jawn. Like somebody might say that's my jam. It's kind of the same deal. But you would use it for other things too. Like, if the remote's over there, you'd be like, yo, the Jawn, like, give me that thing. So that's kind of the usage for that. It's sort of a Philly-wide known thing. I don't use it as much as I used to, obviously not living in Philly anymore, but occasionally I will. I don't know, it's just born into me at this point. It's what I do. So I would love to learn any slang that you kind of can't get rid of from maybe the place you were born, or like something you and your friends said when you were kids. That'd be kind of fun to share. So let me know if you've got anything like that. That'd be dope. And with that, I'm going to get a little bit of work done. Probably say some thank yous to some new followers, which I really, 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 really appreciate. So I'm going to send some notes to you guys. And get a little bit of work done. Start thinking about the topics for this week. And give some of your stations a listen, because I haven't had a chance to listen to what people are doing. So I'll probably share some music and share some... echo some things that people are saying that might be interesting on the station. So with that, I'll talk to you later.
Hey everybody, I just made my Instagram account public and I'm a little bit scared. I'm making some adjustments because I'm trying to be kind of more of a personal brand and personality, and kind of talk through things and help people and stuff like that. I would love to have a place open to everybody to follow me and such, but I'm a little bit worried about the Instagram bots coming and taking over. I feel like I always imagine like the Minority Report little spider robots, like those bots that come and just like your photos and then post the nice picture thing that I talked about in a previous segment. I always imagine that, like little spider bots coming in and attacking your Instagram account. But who knows? I don't know. But I made my personal Facebook page private, and I think it's nice to have that separation between public and private things so that you're not sharing too many things that might not be necessary to share, too many things with like personal family stuff, pictures of my nephew and things like that. I don't want that stuff to be public, really, without anyone's real consent. And particularly, I mean, kids, it's interesting, posting pictures of kids on Instagram. Obviously, anybody can do what they want, but, I'm of the mind that eventually they'll want to decide if they want to be kind of more open and public or not. So I think a lot of people are more open with it. Some people will post back of the headshot or silhouettes or something like that. I think that's like a clever way to do that. And some people are pretty open about it and just put it out there. Or sometimes it's just a private account and that's what's going on there too. So I don't know. I just wanted to share that and see what people thought about public accounts versus private accounts. Do you use a public account for your business or for yourself? Do you keep separate accounts for the different things that you do? I'm personally trying to consolidate, so I think it's kind of interesting to think about like what works where and what is appropriate to be public about and what isn't in terms of business and kind of what's interesting and what's not. Like sometimes it's a little bit boring to just post graphic design stuff, and I want to be able to change it up and share that I'm at a baseball game or share that I'm doing this on my personal pages as well as my business pages. So I don't know. I would like to hear some perspective, and then as I sort of learn more, I'll share more as well. I wanted to give a quick shout out to Tim Time, Jesse in Music, and Simon Says, people that have favorited my station and I've been kind of communicating with back and forth for breaking the top 20 on the charts. I know this platform's still pretty young, but that's pretty dope. I think these guys are all producing rad content. Jesse in Music is sharing a lot of his great musical talent, and I think what's really cool is he's been providing a lot of call-ins to people and playing some music as well, which is kind of a nice personal touch. I think everybody likes having that. That's such a clever idea. I really love that. Simon Says has been really hitting it hard with the mental illness side of it and sharing his personality in terms of the music selections that he's been sharing and talking about his personal struggles as well as sharing other people's personal struggles, including mine, and having great discussions with people. And his interactivity and thankfulness and gratefulness has been really great, and I think that's what's really pushing him above the fold. I think we're starting to see the filtering of reality personalities, meaning actual, real, authentic people who are producing interesting content and interesting discussions, really breaking the fold as opposed to somebody who's just like a YouTuber or somebody that has followers and maybe is not doing anything all that interesting. Or maybe is like overly produced. I think there are a lot of great produced radio shows going on here, but I think you know what I mean. Like there are plenty of great produced works, but that's also coming from a place of authenticity, which Simon Says talks about a lot. And then Tim Time, he's just a funny dude. He's sharing a lot of great tips and doing a really great job. So I think they all deserve the notoriety, and I will continue to support them, and I hope you will as well.
Christian, a good evening, a very good late evening, nearly morning from me. Hope you've had a productive and peaceful weekend. My Sundays, well, it used to be for running marathons, but at the moment, because I can't run, and I've recently had a period in custody where I couldn't do anything for 8 months. I'm rehabilitating my arm with the fracture that I've had in it. I'm doing paperwork and catching up and getting myself to a healthy place. As soon as I'm there with that, it will be back jolling around the country again, running marathons and ultras, and getting to my 100th marathon.
This next segment is from Simon, Mr. Top 20. I'm going to start calling him that from now on. He's going to get too famous for us, guys. I'm kidding. He's a great, down-to-earth guy. He's speaking about mental health and should we hide it? And when should we speak up about it? I want to preface it with kind of stating, I guess, my thoughts on it. I think it's contextual. I think we should strive for being as open and honest as possible in the moment, as well as maybe taking time outside of those moments to, if you're comfortable, broadcasting those moments. Meaning, maybe you've been having a tough week and you would like some affirmation, or you would like to discuss it, opening dialogue with people or someone on Facebook, or using Anchor or wherever your platform is, or calling your mother, or calling somebody, calling a friend, and using that as a reason to discuss it. I think in casual conversation, I think it depends. I think it depends on the crowd. First of all, if you're surrounded by people who don't really understand and respect it, then that's probably a problem unto itself. But there are certain instances like where I'm not feeling great and I don't necessarily want to discuss it, or I feel as though the crowd will kind of just look at me like a deer in headlights, and the people that I will be interacting with would just look at me that way, and perhaps that's not the best moment. So, like, a good example of that is my wife's friends. They're all great people, but they may not necessarily want to hear about what I'm going through. Sometimes they can sort of discuss or argue or complain, however you want to label it, about life things, mortgage and the weather and stuff like that. And to sort of bring up, like, oh, I felt like I've wanted to die this week, might be a little too heavy-handed. So, maybe it's a matter of choosing the audience. I wouldn't say to just like keep it to yourself and not discuss it with anyone, but maybe in that case you separate yourself from that group and find a group that you're able to discuss it with, depending on how difficult it is in that moment and how much you want to dive into it. This weekend was probably a good example, because that example of my wife's friends being over was that. Sometimes I don't want to have those types of how's your day going kind of conversations, because all I want to do is go directly into the deep abyss of how difficult things have been with my brain lately. All the time, but lately it's been difficult. If you've listened earlier this week, you've known that I've been dealing with my own personal struggles, and it hasn't really changed. Thursday and Friday felt better. This weekend I've kind of tossed back and forth about feeling terrible and then feeling okay, and finding distractions or reading a book, or just kind of pushing through and getting to the next day. But she had friends over and I said hi. I loosely participated, but I knew that if somebody was going to ask me how I was doing, I was going to be real about it. And I don't know, sometimes you just don't want to put that kind of heaviness on somebody else, somebody that over previous interactions might not necessarily be helpful to your statement. They might be somebody that's just like very about it, you know what I mean? And not exactly constructive, which I don't blame them. They might not necessarily know how to treat that situation. They might not know how to talk to somebody that's dealing with that sort of thing. So I think it's a matter of your audience and who you're speaking to, but you should definitely find someone, whether it's a therapist or friends or family, to be open about with. Me, I like to be publicly open because it's affected me in so many different areas of my life that I feel like I have to be open about it. I think it's bled so heavily into my personality and who I am that when someone sees that I'm having a difficulty, it's like, oh, he's just going through a difficult time right now, not that it's a part of his personality and he's just lazy and unfocused and not a good worker or husband or friend. So I think leaning all in for me helps me create that distinction. Just wanted to give a quick sound off for now. I'm going to kind of compile everything, all the random bits and nonsense, and put it into an episode. There may be a bit of just disjointedness because I can't publish what other people have said onto an episode. But this is a good sort of ad for checking out Anchor or checking out the Anchor version of the podcast, because then you'll get the full fruits of everything. You'll hear what I'm sort of introducing, and you'll hear the full version of like someone else's thoughts and their perspective as well. I wish it was easy to do that, and I understand for legal reasons I can't just publish that stuff, so that's fine. So I'm going to title this The Sunday Sorbet, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'm going to get some boba with my wife and hang out with her for a little bit, and I may or may not get back into Anchor later tonight, but I hope everyone has a lovely evening. Expect a full regular podcast tomorrow with the intro music. This will have the intro music too, actually. So I don't know, let's try to make this more of a thing. I don't know. I mean, I'm competitive, so I want to be in the top 20. I know most people don't care, but I kind of care. I mean, I'm not going to have it be like the forefront of my actions, but I always want to be number one. I'm competitive. That's just what I do. Anyway, I appreciate you listening to the podcast version of this, and for listening on Anchor. If you're new and have recently favorited the station, I appreciate you. I thank you for contributing to conversations, and this is really rad. I love this so much, and I want to keep doing it. And I haven't sent a thank you to some people yet. That'll come soon enough. Expect some fun stuff this week, and I'll talk to you later.